guys, so we're here at Brad's house.
One more your way.
Working on building this Bedrack.
My way, team it. Can you bump it or not? Easier said than done.
Get it?
Yeah. Pretty close to it. Like 16th under. Okay, Kyle, see that big bolt perfect right by my elbow? Tighten that one down. Just start kind of snug. There you go. Perfect.
That's all she's got.
I'm a teeny bit over right now, but I don't think that's bad.
I don't think it, yeah.
That's all right. We can cut it off.
All right, so we got the tubing bender all set up, thanks to Brad and AJ. Get that thing nice and snug, it's all square. Yeah, start harping on it, right? He was talking about wiping the whole thing down.
Yep. Yeah, that's what AJ did.
Hey guys, welcome to the next episode on the Jeep Gladiator rooftop tent and Bedrack series. So I kind of screwed up last night when I was doing the video, and I was more worried about actually working on getting the Bedrack done or making progress on it. So today I wanted to show you guys a little bit about what we did last night, and today I'm going to try and be a little bit better about filming us finishing up this Bedrack, but at the same time we lost two of our helpers, so I'm going to have to be even more hands-on today. So I'm going to do my best to try and show you guys, but let me show you what I got. So last night we had the tube bender, this piece here. You guys saw everything that was all about. I did a little time lapse to show you. So you guys saw the design video, and the design video obviously shows you guys how we decided we were going to design this whole rack. And we took that and knew our dimensions, and we just kind of laid everything out and said, okay, we know what our dimensions need to be. So we took the tubes, made sure that they were all cleaned off and ready to go. We measured it up once we got it in the bender to our 2 foot length that we needed, and then started yanking on the tube bender. We got our first 90 here, and then we had to measure it out from the other end to make sure we had our 2 feet, and from there we had to measure and make sure that we had our correct width. So once we got all that, the tube bending went really well, really easy, with 4 guys there kind of helping out and making sure everything was level and that we weren't getting, you know, crooked or out of contour. So the tube bending went really well. After we got the tubes bent, we went ahead and placed all the brackets onto the bed and found out that we're going to end up wanting to make a small spacer to go in between the trail rail and the bracket, just to kind of get it away and get the top of the brackets more leveled, because the top of the bed rails aren't quite exactly level. So once we get that made, right now we're just using some washers to hold it in place, or not hold it in place, but space us out. Once we did that, we got the hoop placed up here on top. We marked on our brackets where exactly we wanted our tubes to be on the end of the bracket, and made sure that we were in the same position from left to right, front to back, and centered up. So once we got that, we made sure that it was the hoop was actually level, that it wasn't tipping forward or backwards, and then we were already centered up. So AJ tack welded it in a couple spots and did the same on the other side, there and there. Yeah, after we got the rear hoop all tacked up onto the brackets, ready to go, we called it a night. It was getting kind of late, getting a little chilly in the garage since heater shut off, and yeah, it was just getting kind of late. So now that we have the rear hoop ready to go, tacked in place, as soon as AJ gets over here, we're gonna continue on with doing the front hoop, and we'll do the same thing. You can see our markings, and it's the same on the other side. We'll center it up about our markings, and then we'll make sure that the base is as flat as it can be and that we're not tipped forward or backward, and obviously centered up left to right and front to back exactly where it needs to be. So once we get that, get the rear hoop, or the front hoop in place, then we can start working on our cross tubes, and I'll kind of show you guys what that's all about. We got our notch drill here. So this will cut our notches. So when it's all said and done, our notches, for those of you that don't know what it'll look like, our notches will look like that. And the whole purpose for that is to take this and go around the tube. So what that's gonna do is, like you saw in the design, this piece will go, and granted this is way short, but this piece will go in between here and the front hoop. We'll have two of them, and then two on the other side. So we just have to notch them. Once we get them notched, we'll have to measure our distance between our hoops just to make sure we do have an exact number. And then we'll notch the tubes and cut them to length, and then notch the other side. And then once we notch the other side, we can get them in place up on the hoops, tack them in place, do the same for all the other three. Then once we have all of them tacked in place, AJ will lay some more weld bead down around all the creases, make sure that it's going to stay in place a little better as we transport it off of the bed, and we're going to put it down on these boards just so we're not welding the entire thing up on the bed of the Jeep, so we don't get any weld splatter all over the Jeep. So once we get to that point, we'll weld it all up, and once it's all welded up, then we're pretty good. We just got to make sure that everything goes back on the Jeep like it should, and once it's back up on the Jeep, we'll be ready to mount the rooftop tent, which got some cool news for you guys. Hey, speaking of which, look who just showed up. Hey, the rooftop tent. This is the Roof Nest Sparrow XL. That's for the last video for you guys, show you what that's all about. So looks like it's time to get after it. See you. So now what we're doing is AJ's cleaning up the tubes a little bit after we've notched them, so that way they don't look all cruddy and crappy like this, because he's using that notch with another piece of tubing to make sure that our centers of our notches are going to be parallel to each other. So like so. he's measuring up. We know that the angle of here is just on the edge of his angle over there. So he's got to center that up, but at the same time we got to go way back here. Tape there. Now, this one, AJ, are we making them the same?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Four are gonna be the same.
Okay. All right, crank it. Or no, you got to get the angle still.
Okay.
So now he's got the angle down there. I'm gonna crank this down so don't rotate on us. Ready to drill, right?
Yep.
All right. So we got a little bit of a break in the action with the Bedrack install and fabrication. We are to the point where now we've got the hoops all in place, and we've got the crossbars, the cross tubes all notched, and we've got them in place, the lower ones. Now we're starting to go over some ideas on how we're going to attach certain things to this rack before we get too crazy with welding the cross tubes in place, so we know exactly what our spacing needs to be. The talks right now between AJ and I are, the whole plan is we're going to have two of these tubes here. The other tubes are sitting right there ready to go. The whole talk is, do we take this tube and the other tube, and in between the corners of the inside, put like a little gusset with a tap in it. That way, when I want to put a whole plate across this whole thing here. Originally, the entire idea was I was just going to drill through the tube and bolt nut it. But AJ brought up a pretty valid point that if we do that, I could potentially, if I take that plate off and take those bolts out, I could get water in it if I'm not careful. You know, if it's raining or whatever, if there's water that gets inside. I don't think that they'll ever come off unless I need to change it for whatever reason, and it just happens to be, you know, wet outside. Long and the short, we were worried about drilling holes through the tube and not being able to get water out, or being able to get water out easily. So we're trying to come up with a solution to not drill holes in this whole frame. So the idea that we came up with was putting a couple pieces of gusset corners with a tap in it, and that's kind of where we're at. So now that we kind of have that idea, we kind of know where we're going to have to be, and from there we're just going to, you know, keep continuing. So AJ is just now getting back with a couple other C-clamps so we can get the top bars in place, and then we can measure everything up, tack it in place, and we'll get it over here to weld it all up. See you guys later. All right, so now we're on to the part where AJ starts tacking. So he's just getting the crossbars all tacked in place. So to show you what he's doing, he's tacking them up here just so it stays in place right where we want them, so we can get it all off and then move it down here to the ground and he can fully weld it all up. And it should be pretty damn near done. So now we've got the Bedrack off the Jeep and it's on the ground, ready to weld it up fully. Enjoy some weld videos. AJ's got the rack all welded up fully. Time to throw it back on the Jeep. So let's go get it on. Now do the back ones. Hold that up. They can move that thing all around. Okay, other side. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. A little more on each. Okay. Okay.
That one's a lot more down.
Okay. Looks good to me. So you do unstrap it and then link it up and pull it down.
Nope. Just can't see it.
You want to latch that last one, I would say. Pull it up or down, either way.
I can't go up.
There you go. Go from there.
Whatever.
Well, you don't want it to be in between.
Oh god, I'm scared to get in this. As the thing collapses with my fat ass.
At least you got us here. You'd be the first to break
Yeah,
it.
these pieces are annoying.
When you first get in,
Assuming it's...
you can roll it up and tie it up. You see the little knobs up top there? That's probably how they're supposed to be when you actually transport it. It's just for shipping.
Oh.
Roll more. Keep rolling. Roll tighter because there's a strap on this side. Look.
Oh. So what's it supposed to do? It's not
Strap
long
to
enough.
itself.
Well, there's a
Another
there's a
piece.
loop on the outside. See the loop? That little plastic piece goes through that loop.
You have to roll tighter.
Whatever. I feel like what?
You got a hell of an attitude. I like it.
There's these things.
Yeah. Why don't you hop up in there? God, I hope this isn't how regular camping's gonna go.
Ah! Good lord! God!
Her ass down.
Pull her off the ladder. What a dick.
At least it's on camera. Seems to hold.
Oh god.
Pond, pond, pond. All right, I'm coming up. So I can see what you got. What you got going on in there?
Why don't you figure out how to do that? Oh, this thing?
No, goof. Hi.
Hi.
One last thing. So now that the bed rack is basically complete to this point, we still needed to get the gussets made, still needed to add an extra tube that we realized after the fact. Once we saw the weight distribution of the tent inside of it, it flexed a little bit, so we wanted to add a little more support. So we had my buddy from work, Willie, weld up an extra tube, which is, you'll see right here. And we also had him weld up all these gussets I made to help give it some extra support and make it more rigid and place to be able to mount our new plates once we get those, which we haven't received yet. So now that the bed rack is completely welded up, ready to go, the only thing left is to sand it all down, get everything nice and clean, and throw some primer on it and give it some paint. We wanted to do a shakedown run where we test everything out before we painted it. So you'll have to wait till a future video to be able to see this bed rack completely painted in all of its glory. We still want to do a few more things to the rack, add some extra security to keep everything inside the bed nice and safe and keep people from being able to steal anything. So you'll have to wait till a future video to see some more of that. Thank you guys for watching this long video. I know it was a long one, but tune in to the next one where I go through and open up the tent, all of its awnings, and go inside and give you guys a perspective of what it's like from up top. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, hit the little bell for notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. See ya.